Andrea Jordan is absent. Aaron Rashba.
Here.
Shaquille Ali is absent. Eileen Policarpio.
Here.
Anthony Sujisaka.
Here, great. We have 3 out of 5, so we have a quorum. All right, and now we are going to have our students from Westlake Elementary who are going to come up to the podium and do the pledge for us. So everybody please stand and face for the flag.
Go ahead, you start now.
Hi, my name is Lizzie. Welcome to Squinglish Jefferson Elementary School. Trusting Superintendents McCulloch and guests, please stand and remove any hats and hoods. Now let's get ready for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Most prepared. All right, we move to item 4, approval of the agenda. The administration recommends approval of the agenda. Superintendent McCulloch.
Yes, we're going to need to remove the closed session 20B once again.
All right, we are, so now if we are going to motion, if there are none other amendments, otherwise I will need a motion to approve with the removed closed session item 20B.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, so we have item 5A, public hearing. Public hearing for 2026-2027 AFT Local 3267 Renewal Contract Proposal Sunshine. A public hearing will be held to receive public input on the renewal contract proposal of AFT Local 3267 for 2026-2027. AFT is proposing open negotiations on Article 2, wages, Article 3, hours of employment, Article 6, health and welfare, Article 10, class size, and Article 13, grievance procedures. We are opening the hearing right now at 7:03. Ms. Covere, are there any speaker cards?
There are none.
There are none. Seeing that we have none, we will close open this public hearing at 7:03. All right, and we move on to item 5B, public hearing for 2026-2027 JESD counter proposal to AFT Local 3267 renewal contract proposal Sunshine. A public hearing will be held to receive public input on the renewal contract counter proposal of JESD for 2026-2027. JESD is proposing open negotiations on Article 2, wages, Article 3, hours of employment, Article 6, health and welfare, Article 10, class size, and Article 14, early retire incentives. All right, we are opening public comment at 7:03. Ms. Covere, are there any speaker cards?
There are none.
Seeing that there are none, we will now close this public hearing at 7:03. All right, and now we go to item 6A, Westlake School highlights. Ms. Liz O'Neill, principal, and representatives from Westlake Elementary School will present their highlights of their student clubs. Ms. O'Neill, the floor is yours.
Leading at Westlake. Sorry. The idea of student-led clubs was originally brought to our kindness crew, and many of these students started clubs. It then quickly grew to others, and they approached us about starting their own club. We initially provided adult support, but now we only provide a classroom if needed and an adult supervisor for the students. Some of our club leaders wanted to present today, but were unable to because this is our week at outdoor education. Now, let's hear from our students.
Good evening. My name is Jackie. I want to teach others about origami because I thought it was cool and I thought others might like it because they think it's cool. I really like how people are teaching others when they miss out. It makes me really happy to see that.
Good evening. My name is Massa.
Good evening. My name is Harper.
We wanted to do yoga and stretching because we think it's a fun thing to do at recess, and it also helps people stretch once a week. We
also like how we add games, and the PTA got stuff like yoga mats for our club.
Good evening. My name is Lizzie.
Oops, we're on number 3. It's okay, no biggie.
Good evening. My name is Idris. Damon and I started the Sonic Club. We made this club because we saw people that wanted to have this club, and we think it has gone really well. We are proud that how a lot of people came to the club and about the things we taught them how to make.
Good evening. My name is Lizzie. I like the board game club because I see a lot of people that wanted to make a game, so I wanted to make a place with all the games in one room.
Good evening.
Oh, sorry. The volleyball club, our representatives are outdoor ed this week.
Good evening. My name is Oliver. And my name is Idris. I wanted to start a book club because a lot of people like reading, and sometimes you can't read during recess, so I wanted to make a club where you could read during recess. I am proud that lots of people have shown up to read and also read books they have never read.
Good evening. My name is Stella, and my partner Kobe couldn't be here tonight. We started Jump Rope Club because I wanted to show others how to jump rope because some people don't know how to use a jump rope. I am happy that everyone wants to learn new things because I like that people are getting along with new.
Good evening. My name is Oliver. It's great to do this because you learn new ways to communicate and meet new people when we partner up in our small groups. I'm really proud of all the teamwork going around.
And our last slide. Okay. Here's our Friday morning song. We highlight different grade levels every week. You can see me running around. You guys can sing along if you want. No? We are number one.
All working, happy, healthy, health will never be enough. Oh, Westlake, 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 we are number one. All working, happy, healthy, health will never be enough.
Okay, cut. All right. Thank you. You all did so great. I'm so proud of you. Wonderful.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, please stay up here. We have some comments and I'm sure some questions. But yeah, so we'll first start looking from the board, and then I'm going to start on my left this time.
First, I want to say you are all so polite. Every one of you came up with a good evening and spoke so clearly. And so thank you for just being so polite. Like, I love that already. And I also love the variety in all of your clubs. I wrote them all down. I know there was origami and kawaii for cute drawings, yoga and stretching, Sonic, board game, volleyball, book, jump rope, boys empowerment, and just look at the wide variety that just shows how all different you all are, but how you all share the same passion in something together. So thank you for presenting that in such a way that just, yeah, it's just, you guys adorable. I love it. Thank you so much. I hope you continue to find the happiness in sharing what you love with your classmates and making new friends. It's really nice to find things in common. Even as an adult, I'm in a book club too. I don't know how to jump rope anymore, but I hope that you guys continue to grow these passions the older you get. Great job today.
I feel really grateful to see this presentation tonight, and I'm really excited to see that, as you said, it was started by an idea from the Kindness Club or Kindness Crew. So good job to the students for coming up with their own ideas and then getting support from the adults. And I really enjoy seeing the leadership aspect in all of this and just the engagement. You know, to keep our students interested in coming to school. It's not just about the academics, but about all the extra things that they get to do as well. So thank you so much.
Wow, well, I think the best part of my day was hearing about all the clubs that you've been a part of. Thank you all very much for presenting. You all spoke so well tonight. Thank you to Principal O'Neill, all the teachers and parents and staff who helped make the clubs possible. And I just love what you've done, like a peer, that this is driven by the students, and that, it's peer-led. You're working together to create something new that, as my fellow trustees said, just adds so much to the life of your campus. And school is about the whole self, and I think you've really exhibited that here. I guess the only question I had is, was there one idea for a club that you or anyone had that proved to be impossible for some reason?
Not so far. No,
Okay.
Not yet.
That's great. Thank you.
I echo my fellow board trustees' sentiments. Yeah, it's not easy for anyone to get up and stand in front of a board and present, and then we have you young people who are doing a perfect job of it, and you all came prepared, so you obviously prepared, because I actually usually have to tell everyone to stand up. You had it written in your speech to tell everyone to stand up for the pledge, so I really appreciate that. I was very happy, especially being Japanese American myself, to see the Kawaii and Origami Club, and seeing that we have multiple varieties of representation in our clubs. I'm also a big Sonic fan and board game fan, so I love those ones too, but all of your clubs are amazing. One of the things I really love about the school presentation is that you really showcase just the highlights. You had it was student-led and focused, which that's what we want to hear. The data, of course, we like data, we see that, but we read it. That's what we get enough of, and this is really where you gave us the data, but in a form that was where everyone could enjoy it, especially us, because we want to hear from our kids. They're who we're here for, so that's all I wanted to commend you on your presentation, so thank you for presenting to us. We'll give you all one more round of applause. And then before you all go, we actually do have certificates for you all for being so brave and presenting to the board. So these certificates are for participation in the flag ceremony and the special presentation of Westlake School highlights. So we'll each go through and just say your name, come on up, and accept your certificate from the trustee who calls your name. And we'll start with Trustee Rashba.
Certificate for Jacqueline Louie.
Yes, feel free to take pictures.
Yes, she's smart. I love it.
And actually, we'll have you all come up at the end and take a group photo if you want to in front of us too, as well. All right, you may continue.
Oliver Chang Meisner. And Elizabeth Kanu.
Certificate of Appreciation for Harper Fong Chan. And Oliver Gardner. Congratulations, good job. Keep it up.
I have a certificate for Masa Abdallah. And also for Stella Autumn David. And Miss O'Neill, I have Kobe's for you. Kobe.
And then I have two certificates, one for Bahir Odanis. Okay, not here. And then I also have Idris Jian Kial Saramis. And yeah, before you all leave, here, have the kids come up and we'll take a quick photo with all of them. So all of you all could come up right here and line up in front of us. Trustees will please stand and gather in the center and take pictures with them. Yeah, let's.
Ginormous box.
Yes, please.
Westlake teachers in that too that are here?
Yeah, sure.
Teachers, if I'm here, you're here. You are all part of this.
Yes. Everybody get up here. No one's taking a picture.
Come on, no hiding. You all were supportive of this when we were practicing and everything, so. Yes.
You're fine. Well, if you block this, it's your photo. Thank you.
Just looking into the air. It's a live photo. It's just action shot.
All right. So we're going to continue with the meeting. Again, if you'd like to stay through item 7, it'd be great, but you do not have to if you need to leave. It's late.
They're out.
Yeah, I think they're all out.
They
So
get it. They understand.
it is okay. That is okay.
The students know and the parents know. This is
All right. So we are going to move on to item 7, board member acknowledgements accommodations, and I'm going to start on my right.
Okay. Well, I had the opportunity to attend several terrific events in the past couple weeks. First of all, the JESD Student of the Year ceremony held last Thursday. Just incredible, really showcases the best of our district and what it's all about. I want to thank Luisa Santos and Christina Sanchez for their hard work in organizing that terrific event. I also got to attend the JESD Art Fair, which was, again, a tremendous celebration of all the talent that we have in our district. The performances, dance, and music were absolutely outstanding, and just love seeing the various art that hanging on the wall. So I want to thank Thomas R. Palacito School for hosting us, and Vice Principal Padma Desikachari for her hard work in organizing. And I also got to attend 2 track meets during the past couple of weeks. I want to thank the many staff, parents who were out there. I saw many JSD folk in the in the stands and on the field shivering as well. But that was a really exciting couple events. So thank you for all of the organizers and volunteers who help make athletics possible for our students. Thank you.
I just want to acknowledge and commend all the teachers and nurses. We just had Teacher Appreciation Week and Day, and also nurses. So thank you for all your service.
I'm just going to say ditto to all of that. I was there and at the art fair and the Student of the Year event, and just continue to be amazed by the youth in our community and everything that they do and how proud they are, and how I couldn't believe how many people were at the art fair. Like, that was insane. And so that was my first one. So I was like, oh, parking will be easy. No, it was not easy. So now I know for next year. But it's really just, it was just cool. It was cool to see all of the kids get there, and they were all so proud, and so many proud families. So ditto to that, and ditto to all the teachers. Wouldn't be here without you all. And thank you for your patience and for raising our children and making them good people. I appreciate all of you.
I echo my fellow board trustees' sentiments. The only thing I have to add on top of that, and top of the events that I attended with my fellow board trustees, is I attended the, well, actually 2 things. Well, no, just one, because I have to get in here later. I attended the Jefferson Union High School board meeting. They're our district where all of our kids go to, and I just gave a public comment just saying, we're here, looking to partner with you and see how we can bring our children through an entire, because, they come from us, and then they go there. And then we don't always know what happens to them. So I'm going to try to be more involved and try to see if we can be involved more with each other. Although they have a lot more districts that feed into them. So hopefully they can try to make some time for us in there. Otherwise, that's all I have. Now we move on to 7B, superintendent comments.
Great, thank you. Yes, everything you said I was going to say, so I won't I'll just add on to that today is actually California Day of the Teacher. So last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. There's a lot of celebrations that happen in April and May. And then also next Wednesday, we're going to be appreciating all of our staff at our staff appreciation at TRP. We have a lot of staff members that have milestones, retirements, as well as years of service. And then we also have open house for elementary school next Thursday, May 21st. So check with your school site what time it starts, because all schools have different times. And then middle school is the week after. So if you're a rising sixth grader from fifth grade, you might want to go check out the middle schools and see what they're like. It's May 28th. And so you'll want to also, they're usually between 5 and 7. So just check with our website at the school site to see what time. And then also I did receive some communication from the Deputy Superintendent at the San Mateo County Office of Education, Kevin Voltema. And it was basically a confirmation that when the board approved our second interim financial report with a positive certification, that they concur with that. And so I will share this full letter with you in our information bulletin this Friday. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Superintendent McCulloch. All right, we move on to item 7C, persons wishing to address the board. Ms. Covray, are there any comments?
There are none.
There are none. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. Seeing that there are none, we will move on to item 8, consent agenda. The administration recommends approval of the following consent-starred agenda items. If there are any to be removed, otherwise I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, and we move on to item 9A. Let me flip there first. All right, we move on to item 9A, resolution number 260513, Classified Employees Week. The administration recommends approval of resolution number 260513, designating the week of May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as Classified Employees Week. This resolution honors the essential contribution of the classified staff in maintaining a safe, effective, and supported educational environment for students. All right, are there any comments or questions on this resolution? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I just want to take a moment and thank all of the hardworking, dedicated classified staff members who serve our district.
I'd like to echo that, especially since, some of our, as a former administrator myself, some of our best friends are the people who serve our schools, not necessarily directly in the classrooms, but the classified staff who they're right there whenever we need them, and their service makes our jobs possible. So I definitely give a huge thanks to our classified staff.
Pardon me, President. I'm not sure if we can.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't have public comment. That we had a public comment section.
I'll just add for the public, if you do want to comment on an item, you can fill out the speaker card in the back and then give it to Ms. Covray, and then she'll be able to have you comment on an item.
Thank you, Trustee Ellie. All right, so we have a motion, and then we need a second.
We may want to wait a minute and see if we
Yeah.
do have a speaker card on this
Yeah.
before taking an
That's true.
action.
We could give a brief moment.
I can make some comments while we're waiting. So I also want to commend all the classified workers, especially paraprofessionals and the student-facing classified that, go above and beyond and sometimes get overlooked. We care about you. When we say teachers, sometimes we're including the paras, but we know that we should say teachers and staff. So, we can never thank you enough for the work that you do.
I agree. We actually, at Thomas Edison, we actually celebrated teachers and staff last week with a full-on fiesta and something every day, and we made sure that anybody on campus was able to come and enjoy each day of festivities, because it takes a village, and that village extends to everybody on campus, keeping them safe and making sure that they are heard and feeling Great. So thank you to everybody.
I think this is a point of clarification. So since this is on the agenda, are we allowed to respond or say anything to this comment once it is stated? Because
If it's on the agenda, you can discuss it, yeah.
okay, sounds good. So we open up public comment for item 9A, resolution number 260513, Classified Employees Week. Our first speaker will be Izel De Leon, parent. Oh, so please come up to the podium and speak in the mic so that our public can hear you.
You need to go to the
To
microphone.
the mic here, yeah. Otherwise, the people on the video can't hear you. All right, so
Hello,
let's go
good evening to everyone. And I'm glad that I'm seeing the whole staff of the district here. I prepared this letter since last night because I don't want to be emotional about it and I might forget. I came here, I don't really talk in front of so many people, but I took the courage to stand here because I wanted answers. And my daughter right now went to this school. She was under this aid. I'm not sure if the district is already, if you know about this, but anyways, I'm gonna read this letter anyways that I prepared last night. Hello, good evening to everyone. I am here to raise an urgent and extremely serious concern regarding student safety within this school, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, and the Special Education Department. There have been 2 separate incidents involving vulnerable autistic students under staff supervision that needs to be addressed immediately. In one case, a teenage student came home with 3 or 4 missing teeth and bloody lips. And per the family, the only explanation they got from the Special Education Department was that the student tripped, fell with face forward to the ground. The family did not escalate because of their religion for some reason, and that they're physically are limited in mobility because they're old. In another case, an allegation that a student was sexually assaulted and raped under the care of a school aide on the same school again, FDR. Both of these incidents reportedly occurred under the supervision
President
of different aides.
I'd like to make a motion that we give her 1 or 2 more minutes,
which one is it?
but she needs to know that she went over time.
Second.
All right, so wait, is the motion for 1 or 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. You have 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. Thank you, sir. Aides within the same school, FDR again. This raises very serious concerns about the safety, oversight, accountability within your staff and your special education program. Students, especially those with disabilities, are entitled to be safe in school. Under IDEA and California law, the school has a legal obligation to provide safe environment and proper supervision. What I'm hearing suggests a potential failure to meet these responsibilities. In behalf of special education parents, we want to know what has already been reported to the district. What immediate actions are being taken right now to ensure student safety? What safeguards are in place to prevent further harm, and how will the school, FDR, and SPED department be held accountable? That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we move on to our resolution. So yeah,
I will follow up with the family.
thank you very much. All right, so based on the resolution, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Covray?
Just to double check, who made the motion?
I think it's trustee Rashba, yes?
I'm not sure I did, but I will move to approve this resolution.
Okay.
Okay, then Ms. Policarpio seconded.
Second.
Okay, just wanted to make sure for the record. All right, Mr. Rashba.
Aye.
Mr. Ali,
Aye.
Ms. Policarpio,
Aye.
and Mr. Sujisaka.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, classified staff. All right, and now we move on to item 9B, educational housing updates, information. Ms. Jennifer LaRock, Program Director of Expanded Learning and Staff Resource, will present updates from the Educational Housing Board, including survey results conducted with residents of Eastmore Heights. Yes.
I thought I was later in the agenda, but we're already on page 4. So.
Yeah, we're pretty far.
Good evening. My name's Jennifer LaRock. I'm Program Director of Expanded Learning and Staff Resources. And tonight I've been asked to share a quick update on our workforce housing community as we approach our second year of occupancy. I'm happy to report that all 56 units are currently occupied, and we have nearly 24 staff members on our wait list. That alone speaks volume about both the need for affordable housing in our area and the value that this program brings to our staff. We've also successfully maintained our original occupancy ratio of approximately 60% certificated staff and 40% classified staff, which continues to reflect our goal of supporting employees across all roles of Jefferson. Our Ed Housing Board continues to meet regularly with the property management team to stay informed and be proactive regarding all things Eastmore, from maintenance and operation to residents' experience and long-term planning. Earlier this month, in our most recent housing board meeting, the board approved a fiscal year budget. And in preparation for those budget discussions, the board wanted to hear directly from the residents. So we surveyed our Eastmore residents to better understand their experience and related to things like safety, amenities, property management, satisfaction, cost savings, and overall quality of living at Eastmore. We also invited them to share both the glows and the grows of all things, and we appreciate the area, and so the things they appreciate and the areas where we can continue to improve. The survey's responses represented approximately half of our occupied units, which we felt gave us a meaningful insight into the resident experience. And honestly, I always think that there's something encouraging about giving people the opportunity to anonymously share concerns, and many not choosing to do so because sometimes silence is a sign that things are going okay. The resident feedback helped guide not only our budget conversation, but also future planning and priorities at the Eastmore community. At this time, I will share some of those survey results with you. Typically, I don't read text on the slides, but in this case, if folks cannot read the slides, I will read them out loud. So we asked, how satisfied are you with overall living experience? And our rankings were, questions ranged from 1 to 5. 1 was very dissatisfied, and 5 was very satisfied. We asked, how satisfied are you with the quality condition of your unit? And we got 4.05 stars. We asked, how satisfied are you with Boulevard responding to maintenance needs? We got 4.55. We asked, how satisfied are you with the overall living experience? 4.2. How satisfied are you with the timeliness of repairs? 4.5. That star is actually colored in, that 5th star. How satisfied you're with the laundry room? 3.1. Nobody likes laundry. How satisfied are you with the community room? Almost 4. How satisfied are you with the cleanliness of the grounds and common areas? 4.1. Did workforce housing influence your decision to work at Jefferson? Does workforce housing help you stay at Jefferson? Has reduced rent, 60% of market value, help you save money? 4.6. What do you appreciate most about living here? A couple of themes came up. Affordability, the rent is below market rate, helps them save money. There's safety and security with the gated access, a calm environment. The location, they enjoyed having the short commute and free parking. Obviously, some are coming from the city. Community management, they liked Boulevard, friendly neighbors, and responsive and communicative management. We asked what improvements would enhance your experience, the laundry room, maintenance of the facilities. There's some ongoing repairs, leaks in the roof and the flooring. Amenities and access, they'd like a gym. They'd like a more robust playground, maybe some elevators. They like the community experience. Some of the neighbors maybe have a stronger adherence to the rules. And then, again, later access to the community room.
Excuse me, President Sushi Saka. I like to motion that we give, how much more time do you need?
3.
3 minutes? Okay, 3 more minutes.
Maybe 5? Yeah, let's just do
I'm almost
let's stick to 5. So then
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. You have 5 more minutes, Ms. LaRock.
How has workforce housing influenced your decision to work for the district? Again, the theme of affordability. They like the lower rents, the work-life balance. Again, shorter commutes, community of well-being. They like the connection that they build amongst other staff in the complex, and they viewed the complex of having a valuable perk to recruiting and retaining the staff. We asked about safety concerns. Most residents reported they didn't have any safety concerns and felt that the building was secure. They liked that we had cameras in the parking lots and in the outer buildings. It has been some opportunities where residents leave gates open with a rock or whatnot, and so they would like that to be taken care of. And then, of course, driving a little bit slower around the complex. Other things that can be improved, making sure that all the residents adhere to the rules. Laundry room came up again. Again, they'd like another gym or a gym. The management sends a lot of email reminders. They were asking if maybe emails could go directly to specific residents who need the reminders rather than the whole community. And again, a laundry came up and maybe some extra parking spots. The board had a nice discussion about these results and felt confident that we were offering our residents a safe and affordable housing experience. The board did approve a 2% rent increase to be effective in July, and this helps us keep in line with the 60% of market value, and it keeps us consistent with the Jefferson Union School District housing project. Is there any questions?
Excellent. Just for clarification for the board, so I'm part of the housing board, and that's why when we saw this information, I know that it has been asked, unfortunately, by a trustee who's not here presently, for updates on the housing project, and I thought that this is the first real time we've seen data from residents with, qualitative and quantitative, so I wanted to share that with the board. We don't really have jurisdiction over this. This is the housing board that has jurisdiction, but we can, of course, if there are any questions on it. But that's why I felt like this was really good information for us to hear that our housing project is, where we are at. So that's kind of where this came from. But, if there are no comments or questions, then. All right, thank you, Mr. LaRock. All right, with that, we move on to item 9C, appointment to the Citizens Oversight Committee. The administration recommends the initial appointment of Markham B. Miller to fill the position of at-large community member of Measures J and T Citizens Oversight Committee. If there are any comments or questions, otherwise I'll entertain a motion. All right, I motion to approve Markham B. Miller to fill that position.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Kovray, could you please?
Mr. Rashba?
Aye.
Mr. Ali?
Aye.
Ms. Policarpio?
Aye.
Mr. Sujisaka?
Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Miller, or Mix Miller. I'm not sure of your gender identity. All right. And thank you, Ms. Kovray. All right, move on to item 10A, updates on United for Youth, U4Y, and Learning Communities for School Success Programs, LCSSP grants. Ms. Stephanie Martinez, Program Director of Student Services, and Luisa Santos, Wellness Coordinator, will present updates on United for Youth and learning communities for school program success, or school success programs grants.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Stephanie Martinez, Program Director, Student Services for the District Office.
Good evening. I'm Luisa Santos, the Wellness Coordinator for Jefferson Elementary School District.
So tonight we're going to quickly review some of the grant work that we've done this year with the grants that we've received.
So first, we're going to start with the United for Youth grant, which is a countywide initiative championing youth voice and behavioral health well-being through collaborative leadership. This is a grant throughout San Mateo County. The priorities for the United for Youth grant were social-emotional development, early identification, so we could provide and streamline services, providing full services, workforce development, and providing resources. And because of these priorities, this year we decided to focus on personnel, so having a full-time wellness coordinator, AKA me, community support. We've done a lot with Second Harvest Food Bank, so just continuing that partnership, as well as student support, wellness coaching provided by student services staff. So not only by me, but the counselors as well. The second grant we received is the Learning Communities for School Success Program grant, which aims to improve student outcomes by reducing truancy and supporting at-risk youth through evidence-based and non-punitive practices. The LCSSP framework, the goal is to utilize statewide savings from Prop 47 to fund local education grants aimed at vulnerable students. And within this framework, we're able to identify and implement non-punitive practices, reduce chronic truancy and dropout rates, support youth who have been victims of crime, and align with LCAP goals for school climate. And Stephanie will be presenting on some of the community partnerships through the LCSSP grant.
So one of the things we've been able to continue is our student advisory councils. So I've met with, starting with middle school, because one of the target areas is to decrease suspensions. So I did 2 rounds so far, many more to come, to get feedback from students who've either been through our processes or are experiencing it through their peers, just to ask some questions and getting some great ideas on how we can improve relationships, improve some practices to prevent repeated, behaviors, violations. And so that's been really great. Partnering with FLY, Fresh Lifelines for Youth, I felt like they were a really great program to coordinate this work with as they do this work across county, but not in North County. And an extension of that is also how do we support families with the practices that we're implementing in our schools. With restorative practices, they're not only good for students and staff, but they're also great for families. And so we hosted a family evening event here. It was really great and focused on the skills that and practices that we teach students and teach our staff to hopefully connect them to home. And it was a really well-attended event, and I felt like the families felt like they learned something that they didn't realize, that they could do, easy practices. So we're excited to continue that next year as well. And then one of the initiatives that we were trying to get at was how do we respond to family feedback from our surveys to provide topics of interest. And so one of the main topics that came up for families was around how do we navigate this digital world with our youth, with our children. So we did a 3-part series, and this is a picture from the last session, which I was really proud. I put together a panel. It was myself, our school resource officer, 2 counselors who navigate a lot through, these kinds of experiences with families and students, and a student. And so it was really great. We had audience questions, and it was very interactive, but really proud of that work, and we'll continue that again next year. And another thing that we were also trying to target is that with attendance and behavior, sometimes when we're working with our youth, we feel like it's, it's not a one size fit all, and sometimes youth need an outlet to express themselves, work through emotions. And so one of the things that we did was work with a partner called My One of One, and students got to learn about branding. So this program increased marketing skills by 15%. We did a pre-post. They took a business course, and they improved their business course skills by 7%. And students responded with an increase in their personal creativity. So they all got to walk away with multiple items of clothing with designs that they made themselves. We did this at all of our middle schools. The next kind of interest was they wanted to get into photography and shoe design.
Continuing with the creative and personal growth and wellness and the youth entrepreneurship, we had a braid and build workshop. It was a 1-week workshop at Thomas R. Paul Lasita. Students, we had to have a wait list because we had to cap the number of students, but there was, a great interest. And during the week, we had an instructor teach our students how to do various braiding techniques, as well as how to start your own business and brand development as well. So not only were they learning, literal hands-on practices, but they were learning how to be entrepreneurs as well. We also partnered with the PARTY program, which stands for Positive Alternative Recreation Team Building Impact. And it's a youth development nonprofit. I met them through the nonprofit conference, Thrive Alliance, last year. And we connected, and they've been at Fernando Rivera as well as Ben Franklin. Fernando Rivera, it was mixed grade levels and co-ed, and then Ben Franklin, we really wanted to respond and, do an all-boys group. So we felt that, based on the data, there was a need for a safe and empowering space for our male youth. So that's the PARTY program. And this was mentioned at a previous board meeting, but I also wanted to highlight Kapwa Cultural Center. They're based here in Daly City, and they supported with the social, emotional, and mental wellness of our students. The Phil-Am Enrichment Club at TRP, we were able, and I helped chaperone, we were able to tour the space and, meet the people that work in the space. And we also tried their drinks, which were really good. And then Stephanie's going to talk about the NEMS music therapy program.
Yeah, so just to highlight, one of the students from NEMS, I asked to share their experience, and the student shared, music group made me feel happy. Even though my ears are sensitive, it also helped me feel calm. The group helped me connect more with classmates and other students outside my class. I think music group is important for kids because it helps us learn about sounds, feelings, and how other people feel too. I would like to join music group again because it was fun and helped me learn my emotions. This is an elementary youth. We had them at elementary and middle school, and I've been rotating. This is from a separate grant, but I'm just putting it in here. We've been at 4 different school sites. I'm just going to play a couple seconds. So this was the favorite event where the students by grade level went up and performed. Okay.
Along with our physical and nutritional wellness under our grant, we continue to partner with Second Harvest Food Bank. This photo was from our last TRP distribution. Because of the redesignation of the parking lot being staff only, we had to relocate. But I just wanted to highlight the numbers of how many households and individuals and pounds of food that we were able to distribute in the past 3.5 years. So this location sunsetted, but we were able to open a Garden Village location, which serves our Garden Village, Ben Franklin, and Westlake families, and that's been going well so far. And then along with physical and nutritional wellness, we also partnered with Duo Dance Studio, also located here in Daly City. So we really try to tap into the, those in the community, the organizations and the partnerships. We really want it to be homegrown. So we partnered with Duo Dance Studio and the 4th and 5th graders of George Washington Elementary. They're walking distance from the studio. So every Friday, they've been going to the studio since April to learn hip hop. You can see this is from their recent recital photos they just took. So their spring recital will be around the last week of June, and they'll be also performing at George Washington Spring Festival as well. Yeah, we can cut it off at time.
And that's time.
And that's time.
That was time. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you very much.
If you want to see more, come to the Spring Festival then at GW.
Good advertising. All right, so before we have comments and questions from our board. Well, first of all, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Now I'll have comments and questions from our board. I think I started with you last time, so I'll start on my left.
Thank you for the presentation. I did attend the digital safety one, so for those, I went to all three. I will say I say this all the time, my kids are really little, and so they don't do those things yet, but the older I get, the further away from newness I get, and so this is really helpful for me to prep as they start to get to these older ages. I already feel ahead of the game so that I can combat any of their excuses with knowledge and facts. And so thank you for that. I do think that is super helpful because I am terrified of the digital age, but it's really helpful to know the information that you all have given that I can approach it when my girls get there. So I will say personally, thank you for that. I'm happy to see that it's continuing next year. I love that you rotate the locations. I think it's fair and it's kind. And I love the panel and even having the 8th grader on there. So thank you for that as a parent who attended. Great program. And I think my favorite thing is just seeing all the variety across everything. Creative and personal growth is amazing. There are so many different paths that kids don't always get to see just based on maybe what they see on TV, how they grow up, any path that they might be kind of chosen for them, but for them to be able to see that there's other ways to use their brains and their activities and what they can do well as they grow up. I don't think I learned that until I was in college, probably not until grad school, but it definitely was not at this level that I could see that there is more that we can do that the school and the district is cultivating. So amazing. Love all of that for the kids and seeing that socio-emotional mental wellness. I don't know how many stories there are in the news every single day for people of all kinds of backgrounds and things that they do where mental health, and hopefully if it had happened, if they had the resources. So thank you for that and for the music and for the dance and just nurturing their minds, bodies, and souls in so many different ways. So appreciate the presentation for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And, as Trustee Policarpio just said, I really enjoyed seeing all the vast services that you're providing. And, it would be nice to see it as like a word cloud, just all those different things you have going on, from food to business to actually this great partnership with Fly. I know about them through my juvenile justice work, and I'm very happy that we're partnering with them. And also PCRC, you know that I go way back with PCRC, and PCRC was not traditionally up here in North County. So it's just great to see both of you keeping us connected to our local community and then county-wide community. So keep up the great work.
Thank you for the terrific presentation, Ms. Santos, Ms. Martinez. I echo what my fellow trustees have said. I tremendously appreciate the variety of services and enrichments that you're bringing to our district. And, my full-time work is as a fundraiser. And so I can really appreciate that the how difficult it can be to get grants, and that you've successfully done that and brought them to our district. And I will say, as a representative of the Budget and Facility Advisory Committee that just wrapped up its meetings, the, of course, preferred strategy for our district is to find more funding to address our budget situation. I guess my question is, how has it been in managing, these grants? Is it really time-consuming in fulfilling those requirements? And if you have any ideas on how we can identify future opportunities and make sure that our district is thought of with any opportunities.
Yeah, so managing the grants can be challenging at times because, Stephanie and I, we're managing so much. We are, doing all the reporting. We have to meet deadlines. We have to, it's a lot at times. Yeah, coordinate, plan, all of that. But we're happy to do it because it's in the name for our kids, So we want to continue these services. We want to, keep being compliant in reporting and do whatever is necessary to keep these grants going for our school district. And moving forward, we want to be diligent about what else the state has to offer. I know that, community schools, there is supposed to be more funding for that. So we're just waiting to hear if they're going to open up requests for applications again. So it's all about staying in the know. And I don't know, Stephanie, if you wanted to add.
Yeah, there are other grants that we participate in that we weren't able to have time to highlight tonight. So I don't really think there's been a year since I've been here where I haven't managed a grant, either site or district level, 1 to 3 to 5. So we're always looking for more for our students, and we're willing to add it to our plate no matter what.
All right, well, I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments. Actually, a big thing that I was going to say was also, so I don't work exactly in fundraising, but my work is in work-based learning. So I was going to comment on, I'm really appreciative that you have that entrepreneurship, that exposure to career opportunities for our students, just seeing where could they go. Because I think one of the biggest things that we as a school system consistently do not do enough of is career exploration. Like one of the things I actually leave my PDs with is I show a classroom from a student perspective. I said, how many of your jobs look like that? They don't. Most of our jobs don't look like, even the teachers, they're standing and doing other things. So it's really great to see that we're providing opportunities for our students to get exposure to what does that look like? Like, how would I do this if I want to do this as a career? And I'm really encouraging more of it. And again, like from a grant perspective, it is a nightmare. The amount of deadlines, reporting, constantly communicating with grantors, making sure you're meeting and checking all their boxes. But we really appreciate that. Again, like I was gonna say, this, especially in this day and age of scarce funding, it's impressive that you all found stuff. So please continue the good work. And again, like please let her keep us informed. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. And this is information, so we do not need, no action needed. All right, we move on to item 11A, resolution number 260513A, resolution in support of increasing LCFF-based funding for public schools. This resolution calls upon Governor Gavin Newsom and the California State Legislature to increase the LCFF base grade span grants by 7.24% to address the cumulative impact of inflation that has outpaced cost of living adjustments for more than a decade. The administration recommends approval of resolution number 260513A, resolution in support of increasing LCFF-based funding for public schools. All right, if there are any comments or questions, otherwise I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, I have a comment. Although I support this, I would prefer the language to say at least 7.24%. And so that's my only comment.
I have a couple comments, and there is a lot that could be said about the inadequate nature of school funding in this state. But I want to point out, just for public awareness, that we are one of 5 school districts in San Mateo County who our local property tax receipts are lower than the state minimum, and therefore the vast majority of funding for our schools comes from the state of California. It's not local, it's not federal, and the state funding is determined by this local control funding formula, which is an improvement in helping, giving some additional funding to support high-need students and some local choice. But, you know, it's just inadequate overall, the level of state of funding that we get. So I wholeheartedly support what Trustee Ali was saying, you know, that it should be more. And, you know, there is an annual increase to account for inflation, cost of living adjustment. But last year it was a 2.3% increase. And the year before that it was 1.1%. And, you know, our teachers, our staff here in the district around the Bay Area have made clear that this is not enough to support the high costs that they face. So I enthusiastically support this measure as a good start and a place to make a needed increase. You know, we are one of the most expensive states in the country, one of the most robust economies, but our spending on education does not reflect that. You know, we're in the middle among states if you factor in cost of living towards the bottom. So I support any measure that would add funding to the bottom line for public education. Thank you.
To add on to that, California is one of the top 5 most expensive places to live in the world. So I definitely agree. I don't know if it's possible for us to amend the language to at least 7.24%, but I think that's something that I'm hearing for board trustees.
If that's what the board wishes, then we can make that change.
Is that what I'm hearing? Because I heard it from Trustee Policarpio. Do you have anything to add? Okay. So then I'm hearing that from 2 trustees. I also agree. So then I guess what we can do is motion to approve and then say at least 7.24%. All right. And then
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Oh, this is a roll call vote. Ms. Covray, please.
Mr. Rashba?
Aye.
Mr. Ali?
Aye.
Ms. Policarpio?
Aye.
Mr. Sujisaka?
Aye. Motion unanimously passes. And hopefully we'll get a response. All right, we move on to item 12A, Human Resource Procedures, Credentials, and Master Schedule. Mr. Brent Martez Valenti, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, will present information on the process for certificated staffing credentials and development of master schedules.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to have me present tonight. A couple of months ago, I believe there was a request that we did a review on how our master schedules for our middle schools and how teachers are assigned in that capacity. So tonight I'll provide to you some insight on how those master schedules are developed and the teachers are assigned. These processes are highly interconnected. They're influenced by student needs, staffing allocations, credential requirements, and other operational constraints, of course, funding, as we're discussing. Do you have it over there, or should I got the clicker. All right. This is a middle school master schedule. Take it in.
Very fun to create.
It's beautiful. You'd think it might be Miss Peterson's budget, multi-year projections, but it's not. This is a master schedule, and they are like playing Tetris. You're dealing with limited space to find classes for all your students each period, ensure every teacher has a planning period, a lunch break, and that class numbers are balanced and in line with our contractual obligations. I will not go over the master schedule this way. There's a lot of considerations when you're building a master schedule, and it really starts generally in the spring of the prior year. So while developed in collaboration with teachers, the leadership team, the master schedule is ultimately the responsibility of the site administrator. The process typically begins with determining the school's projected enrollment and staffing allocations. And from there, the schools build required core sections, math, science, ELA, physical education. Then look at any intervention classes they might need, English language development, resource professionals for our special ed students. It might have periods for that, followed by other electives. Teacher assignments are ultimately connected to all of these decisions and the teacher's credential authorization. So once students' schedules are created, adjustments continue throughout the spring and sometimes leading up to the day before school starts. It just depends to make those things work. And then you also have students that are in band, and so that changes the line of classes they can have, or students who are in other classes that are really impact how their individual schedule is created. So there's a lot of requirements here in California and other states, including our credentialing, authorizations, English learner compliance, as well as other required student services. And our primary responsibility is to follow these state laws with regards to teacher certifications. The Commission for Teacher Credentialing, the CTC, does provide districts with some flexibility to assign teachers to classes that fall within a broad single subject area. For example, if you're a social studies teacher, you have a social studies credential, you can't teach ethnic studies. That's part of the broader area. Or if you have an English credential, you can teach humanities. And there's a number of waivers you can get for 1 year, or depending on how many units you have in a particular content area in your undergraduate degree. So there's a lot of ways to make it work, as well as ed codes that will allow teachers to be assigned to classes based on their BA. I have an international relations bachelor's degree, so I could teach social studies, even though I have a multiple subject teaching credential. While we do our best to honor the teacher's preferences, and there's often people that really have their niche classes, legal compliance must come first when making these final assignments. The Balancing Act. Building a middle school master schedule is really a balancing process. Schools are simultaneously trying to meet student academic needs, provide interventions and electives, maintain reasonable class sizes that stay within staffing allocations, and comply with any credentialing and legal requirements. And it's an ongoing process. It really doesn't stop even once the school year begins, not to mention when new students come in within the school year and trying to find space for them. So it's constantly making sure all these interconnected factors are taken into consideration. So the question often comes up, why do I have to change my line of classes? I've been teaching this class for years. Well, teacher assignments can shift from year to year for a lot of reasons. Sometimes enrollment drops. You have a really big 8th grade class graduating, a real small 6th grade class coming in, so there's going to be movement. Sometimes there's intervention classes that are needed in one year that were not needed the year before. And in California, just like with many things, laws change. And credentialing laws and authorization requirements play a major role in determining who can teach these specific classes. So why one change might impact another? So one of the challenges with middle school scheduling is that a single change often creates a ripple effect throughout the entire scheduling. Adding one intervention section, for example, might reduce the number of electives you are able to offer, or the number of students that sign up to do a band class. I know for years we had 3 band classes, and then it had to go down to 2. We just did not have the students to create 3. So that band teacher was doing more music appreciation, or even something else beyond or outside of the credential area. It's like Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And it hits you all the time with your master scheduling. And sometimes you don't see it until you see it. How many sections? Again, this is off of my master scheduling chart. It's all about the number of students. So for example, in this example, in 6th grade, we have 171 students. Now in 6th grade, you can have 32 kids in a class. So 6 times, what is it, 6 times 30 gets you to 180. Has a little more wiggle room in case we have new students coming in. You can go up to 32, but we also like to have, we try to make it so there's some wiggle room. In 7th grade here again, you have 174 students, 6 times 30 is 180, so that's all the sections you need. 8th grade here in this example, we have 212 students. So we have 7 times 30. You guys can do the math. I know Mr. Sujisaka is a good math teacher, so I won't go from there. But we also we're really trying to use 30 as our base number to bring our class sizes down. We'd rather make sure in our core areas, particularly, that there's a little more wiggle room. We don't want classes of 35. Now, there is a caveat in our contract called the allowable deviation. So you can have a 10% allowable deviation beyond the contractual class enrollment. Now, we're not going to get 3.5 more students, but we have to work with our staff and with our union representation if we have to do something like that. And it generally doesn't come into play unless it's really needed. So we need to look at our contract as well when we're building these master schedules. I'd also like to recognize that assignment changes can be very difficult. As a former middle school principal, going around and going to that teacher, go, hey, I really need you to teach one section of social studies. I had a teacher for years, was a social studies teacher. He moved into PE, and then I needed him for a couple periods of social studies again. I don't think he talked to me for a month. So it happens, because people get comfortable, and I understand that. Because they build strong connections to their courses, their grade level, their teams, and that's what we want. We want them to have these professional learning communities. And our goal is always to communicate clearly and support staff through these transitions. So it's not easy. And we understand when folks want to share their frustrations, feeling, and honoring the work they've done and the hard work they've done to get their credentials as well. And so that's just, maybe we'll call that the 10,000-foot view of the master schedule process and how we assign teachers in middle school. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Thank you for your presentation. All right, so comments and questions from the board, and this time we'll start on my right.
Thank you for the presentation, very informative. I was just wondering if you have any similar complexities at all at the elementary school level with our schools there.
In elementary school, it's generally 24 students. You see which the teachers, the 3rd grade teachers work with, or the 2nd grade teachers work with the 3rd grade teachers, saying, oh, Mr. Brent shouldn't be in Aaron's class, or, there's a lot more of that, but it's generally how many students we have in the classes. You don't generally have students moving from class to class. Even in the upper grades where we're having now some, for example, there's a lot of 4th and 5th grade multi-graded classes now because our lower grade, or the number of enrollment has gone down. They're doing some quasi-class changes. So for example, I might teach social studies and English, you might teach math and science. So there's some movement that way. But you don't come into conflict with the issues you get in middle school. In middle school, you find these bottlenecks. You might have 1st and 2nd period. Let's just use PE, which has a higher class size. You can take up to 40 students, unless you have the deviation involved. You might have 30, 40, and then you've got a line that's just 20 students. It just happens. You don't get that in elementary school, no. The only issues are if there are split grade classes, more like who's going to do that class this year. And usually that's, I did it this year, you ask for a volunteer, and there's contract language about the process. But overall, you don't get that problem in elementary school, in my experience.
I didn't really have any questions, but thank you for doing this, because I know I have requested that this would maybe be a good idea, because there's been times where people have come before us and had questions about their assignments and whatnot. So Thank you for presenting this in a general way. This is something that, excuse me, I've done a lot in education, but I've never been a part of that process. And I've seen either an assistant principal who volunteers or a principal and counselors get in a room and lock themselves in. And, so this was very informational for me, even though I already knew without knowing the details how it's just not at, the whim of the administrator and they're just trying to, do something bad. So it just reminded me of when I first visited the Youth Cinema Project and our students were saying what they learned, and they kept telling us that they were learning to assume positive intentions and manage emotions. So I think we could learn a lot from our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't come from education, but I remember, this makes me grateful because I just thought, I don't know how my middle school schedule came about. I just thought no one wanted me in A period when my friends were in B period. I did not realize that much. And so seeing it laid out that way and seeing, if one kid is in band, obviously that's gonna be a different schedule. And so how much thought actually goes into just one kid, and then you times that by 172. So thank you, teachers and staff who make that schedule, because that's wild, but also understanding that you do have to switch sometimes based on what you're good at. There's a reason people wear many hats. I work in tech, and you know what? I have to do 5 different things at times, just kind of dependent on what the need is, right? Like if the need is here, it's like, okay, put me in coach. Like, let me do that, because at the end of the day, it's not just for me and what I need to do, it is for the rest of the team. So appreciate being able to see that, because again, like I am so new to all of this that I forget that, there's so much time and prep that goes into what, is just taken for granted. And so never taking that for granted again. So thank you for the hard work in that, because it looks hard.
Thank you.
So, well, first of all, thank you for putting on black and white and being eco-friendly. That's definitely
That's all I have access to.
good. Let's keep it that way. Anyway, but actually, so I had a couple of things. Like one of the things that I think is the biggest reason that people come to us and like express their concern with schedule changes. Of course, I've made 3, so I know the process, that time that goes into it. This is not a new process to me. I've also been a teacher that has been on the other end of it. But the biggest concern is changing preps entirely. So when you are given a prep that you're given very little resources for, and then on top of other classes that you're preparing for, and then so I guess my question from that would be is, how often is it that a teacher gets a completely new prep and is asked to do 2 more classes that they've already taught or new on top of that? Like, is basically 3 or more. For the audience, preps is defined as number of classes. There's also prep periods, which is their preparation time, but I'm using it in terms of the class.
Sure. Well, thank you for that question. The contract does have language that speaks to the number of preps and if you have to go beyond that. Generally, though, I would say it's infrequent that it increases. In 6th grade, for example, we core students, and you can have multiple subject teachers like myself with an elementary credential that teach 2 content areas. So you're teaching math and science, ELA and social studies, but you're teaching them to the same kids. So you're taking those 3. So that's 2 preps, with usually there's an elective. It's not frequent that they go more than 3, but there are examples of that. And some schools do have a more kind of committee style to at least get feedback and input. Some work with leadership teams. Some do it more intimately, one-on-one or department. But ultimately, it does fall within the purview of the administration. But I would be disingenuous for me to say that it happens 10 times a year. It does happen, and there are processes to follow, and sometimes people are less happy. I think you mentioned over there, Eileen, about, you put me in. So people step up. I had for many years a teacher. She did dance, PE, science, and math. And then the next year it was something else. And so I think it's all really about how the leadership builds that relationship with those teachers. It's just like with a multi-graded class. Not everybody wants to teach the multi-graded class, but ultimately we all have to step up. So So I can look to see if there have been too many changes, but it's not as frequent as perhaps it appears to be.
Thank you. Then another question, well, you kind of answered it, was also about teacher input. Because, we do have teachers that want to teach certain courses. And we have teachers that, not that they don't want to, but they may have the credential to do it. And I'm sure that's explained, but it seems like, the inconsistency between schools, how is that being addressed with leadership? So because I know the reason that this came up is teachers came in to a meeting and actually said this during public comment.
Sure.
And so it's saying there's some schools apparently where leadership takes feedback and actually works with the teachers, even if they aren't using, or whether they are using it or not, they're still we've heard your feedback, kind of like what we do here at the board. We've heard your feedback. We can't respond to it, but here's what's going to happen from all the feedback. But then if teachers are not getting given a chance at all and then just assigned, it seems like that creates a different tension between leadership.
In my experience, and there is a range, just like even in elementary, there's different ways how they share that information with kids moving into the upper grade, the next grade, the rising students, as we call them. I'm not of the opinion that there is no input. I think the input just looks differently. And I think it can be more individual too, because sometimes in group settings too, the louder voices get the floor. And I think in the one-on-one or small group, that they have more of an opportunity to have that conversation. But I've never, I was a middle school principal for, a number of years. I think, about 9 years between VP and principal. And I saw it different all the time. Ultimately, though, we lean on the credential, we lean on the needs of the students, and we lean on how we can make that master schedule work. And even when there's been tons of input and full transparency, people are not happy. I didn't get my first period prep, and that's the prep to prep. So I think ultimately, there's a lot of factors that play into people's opinion on how those master schedules are developed. But I think as long as they have an opportunity to have that communication with their administrators, but again, that does fall on the responsibility and the purview of the administration to make that master schedule.
And I don't think, this is not an action item, although I would like to recommend that more leaders listen to their teachers and at least cooperate, maybe not even, and again, I know most of our site leaders do this already, so I don't think it's a huge issue. It's just maybe just making sure that they are, I don't know, some collaboration of some sort.
I believe the collaboration's there. I just believe that the collaboration looks differently, just like a lot of processes that are out there. So, but I hear you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, are there any other comments or questions from the board? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, we move on to item 12B, certificated retirements. The administration recommends approval of the following retirement requests and requests the appropriate resolutions be prepared commending them for their years of service. Susan McMahon Diogi, 6th to 8th grade elective teacher at Fernando Rivera, effective June 6th of 2026. Ms. McMahon Diogi has been employed with the district since August 31st, 1995. And Sophia Sagarakis, did I pronounce that correctly? Sakarakis, sorry, thank you for correcting me. 2nd grade teacher at Woodrow Wilson, effective June 6, 2026. Ms. Sakarakis has been employed with the district since April 20th, 1992. Are there any comments or questions? Otherwise, go ahead, Trustee Rajpa.
Yes, so my children had both of these teachers, and they are truly exceptional. I know Ms. McMahon Diogi has just a real leader at Fernando Rivera, and so I want to thank her for many years of service, making a great experience for so many students. And all the kids call her Mrs. T, so I know that's a tough one. But my child had Mrs. T in the 2021-22 school year, and I'll never forget what a great job that she did in a really difficult time of students just coming back from the pandemic, of making things really engaging and rewarding for all students in her class. So I want to thank both of them for their many years of service.
And I'd also like to just congratulate them on their, completing this chapter in their careers and their lives. And hopefully they have something even better after this. So thank you.
That's a lot of years. And I want to mention that some of the kids at the Student of the Year actually shouted out Miss McMahon Diogi and said very publicly that they are going to miss her, and she was amazing. And so to know that these teachers have that lasting effect. I mean, how many of our teachers do we remember from growing up? And I feel like these two are likely going to be the ones that kids always remember and, come back to and think of fondly. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoy retirement, and I'm sure I'll see your name on here as a substitute.
I'd like to thank them also for the years of service. Yes, each has 31 and then 34 years consecutively. So, all right, then I will motion to approve this. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. McMahon-Diogi and Ms. Sakarakis. All right, we move on to item 13A, retirement of classified personnel. The administration recommends approval for the retirement request from the following classified employee: William C. Heath, Director of Maintenance, Operations and Construction, hired on September 15th, 2016, effective April 30th, 2026. Oh, so it's already effective. Okay. All right, are there any comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I've always known him as Bill, so it was interesting
his
seeing
name is
William.
Bill
But no, thank you, Bill and Mr. William C. Heath, for all your service. That position has so much, at stake and so much involvement, and he's had ups and downs with it. So I just thank him so much for that service, and I'm interested in seeing, who's going to follow behind that.
All right, then I'll motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Heath. All right, we move on to 14A, February 2026 CSBA Board Policy Updates. Mobile 5131.8 mobile communication devices first reading. The board will review and revise board policy / administrative regulations / board bylaws from February 2026 CSBA board policy updates, as well as board policy 5131.8 mobile communication devices as stated in a first reading. Superintendent McCullough, can you,
Yes, I just have one comment. There's a lot of policies on here, but one I wanted to point out because it is a recommendation for a change of practice, which is the Board Bylaw 9320, meetings and notices. Most districts in our county have one board meeting a month, and we have two. And so with anticipated more community meetings next year and things like that, I am recommending that we go down to one meeting a month. We've been canceled a couple meetings this year, and there's several months where we do have one meeting. And so I would recommend that we go down to one meeting a month. The July month, since that's the summer vacation, we will move that to the end of June because we do need 2 meetings in June for the LCAP approval anyway. This is just a first reading, but I just wanted to highlight that.
thank you for that highlight. All right, are there any comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I appreciate Superintendent McCullough with that advice, because I just want to add that that'll also give us a chance, if we need to have, study sessions or public hearings, and, not have to have 3 board meetings. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, I'm supportive of the change. I certainly wouldn't want it to come at the expense of the student presentations, which I think is such a important mission moment for all of us, and just a great opportunity for students to present. So I know that we're likely in for some longer meetings when we have them, but the change makes sense.
We can also stretch them out, so schools maybe present every other year, since we don't want to have repeated things, because a lot of these things are ongoing, and so we could stretch out and have fewer presentations And instead of twice, two schools each meeting, we could have just one a meeting and then
Ms.
stretch it out.
Covray, could you get some water for one of our trustees, please? Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so one of the main reasons when Superintendent McCullough first proposed this was, one of the things that really, like, during especially my time being president of this board, is really being intentional with where we're spending our time, hence like being really strict on time, making sure that if we are motioning for extra time, these things are valuable. These are things that we want to focus on, and not putting time and just letting people, go on and, for things that we may not need as much information on. Because everything on these agendas are important, but I think really being intentional with our time. And, moving to one meeting a month would mean that we'd have less spread out things, but we'd be able to do more at once. Yeah, and again, I think it's just being more intentional with our time. All right, well, again, like, there's still a motion on the table, so we need a motion on the table, unless we are not going to approve.
And this is just the first reading. We'll bring it back at the next meeting.
A motion to approve the first reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, item 15A, Board Study Session, CSBA and AXA 2026, Washington, D.C., Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy Trip. Information discussion. Board members Shaquille Ali and Anthony Sujisaka will highlight some of their learnings, as well as give a report about their attendance at the California School Board Association, CSBA, and the Association of California School Administrators, AXA, annual Coast to Coast Federal Advocacy Trip to Washington, D.C. from April 13th to April 15th, 2026. Would you like me to go first, or do you want to go first? However you'd like it. Okay, so again, I won't take too much of our time. I've done plenty of talking this evening, but one of my biggest learnings is actually when going to Washington, D.C. So this trip is for us to go and speak to our representatives in California, the ones who represent us, and we are supposed to go there and either convince them or just really give them education on policies in education that we want them to represent for us as their local representatives. And one of the biggest learnings I think I took away, and this is from being not a politician, is that when someone goes into politics and is in that political position, they don't have information on every single thing that they're voting on. And that's actually one of the reasons we have elected officials and voting on them is this is also why I really want to get more involved in our local politics and start talking to our representatives, because I don't know if any of them were educators. And if they are voting on policy that directly affects us and our people and the people that we represent, they need to hear from the people who actually do know who have those expertise. That's why a lot of organizations, like any of you who are part of AXA or CSBA, they constantly give information out, like, right to your leader. And I never really understood why. So now, but going there and really seeing, like, Kevin Mullen is a great representative, but he was not an educator. Stephanie, why am I forgetting? Catherine Stephanie at the state level, she was not an educator. She, again, represents a lot of things, but not an educator. So us as educators, especially the educators who are in the audience. So that's one of the biggest learnings that I think I took out of it is we are on the ground. We are hearing this information. We know about LCAP, like, especially from being in the classroom. I know curriculum, administrative side, Shaquille knows special education. There are plenty of us out there who know a lot of things that these politicians who are making policies that directly impact us don't know. So I would actually really encourage anybody who hears of an assembly bill or a state bill, a Senate bill, write to the person who's going to be voting on it, because they probably don't know what they're voting on, but they need our voices. And then they also will take our voice and actually use our stories on the Senate floor when they're trying to convince others, because they don't have those stories all the time. They may have their kids' stories from being in school, but that's not always going to represent everything on the teacher, administrator, or curriculum side. So I would really, that was my biggest learning, was just realizing that they are normal people who do not have all the knowledge in the world, and we need to give them that. So that's my time.
All right. I'm going to just get into a little bit of the details real quickly. So basically, as President Sujisaka said, we went out there to participate in lobbying, and it's very structured and organized. We all go basically as a delegation from California, and the talking points are prepared in advance for us. We have a plethora of information that we get, and then we actually go through workshops when we get there on that same information. Excuse me, and that's the information that we go to present to the Congress folks. So, you know, I'll just tell you what we focused on. So CSBA identified the priority issues as CTE workforce, children's online safety and student privacy, federal education appropriations, and AI in education. My message was that federal decisions shape what local education agencies can realistically deliver for students. And I was there advocating for policies that strengthen student outcomes, protect local flexibility, and ensure federal expectations are matched by adequate support. And then also, President Suchi Saka is my witness that I threw another bullet point out there. I went off script because I didn't want to go out there and just follow the rules. And you know, I was really there to do what we need to do, is advocate for what's important to us. And so I brought up the fact that in California we have AB 2927, which mandated financial education for high school students. They have to have this now to graduate. By 2030, they have to have one semester or even a year of financial education. So I also brought that up to Ayan Dixit, who is a representative for Kevin Mullen, and I got favorable response and support for that. So I've been sending emails out to key people to get more support for this. And here's my closing statement. Public education works best when federal policy reflects local realities. Strong schools require strong partnerships, adequate and reliable funding, support for innovation with guardrails, and practical investment in the systems that help students succeed. I was there to make sure California's local school perspective is part of that federal conversation. And then I also, you know, made a leave behind for the members of Congress and, you know, left this message for them. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Trustee Ali. So this is information on discussion. So I guess if there's any comment or question from any other board members, we are open to it. Otherwise, we'll move on to item 16, but I'll leave the floor open to our fellow trustees if they have any comments.
I want to thank you, President Sujisaka, Trustee Ali, for going and advocating for our schools. I think it's really important, you know, this broader advocacy work at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level, and just to keep fighting for public education. Thank you.
All right, with that, we will move to item 16, governance team member comments, reports, future agenda items, and board meeting reflection. And this time I will start on my left. It's okay if you don't have any.
No comment.
Well, I gave my report, so thanks.
I want to thank every speaker that we had tonight who spoke to all of the important work and issues in our district. And I most of all appreciated the students in Principal O'Neill's school at Westlake. And yeah, again, I think highlight hearing about all those tremendous clubs and energy around them. Thank you.
I echo my fellow board trustee sentiments, and I wanted to do just a couple thank yous. Well, first of all, I want to encourage our fellow board trustees who have not attended the Coast to Coast advocacy trip. Again, like there's lots of things to learn there. I would encourage, again, if you can't, of course, work schedule, we have our lives, so don't push yourself if you can't do it. It is a great learning experience, and I would highly recommend it. I'd also like to thank Trustee Shaquille Ali, even for even just right here, but he was actually the one who kind of taught me the lessons that I learned when I was in DC, because I like that he kind of doesn't stay on the book and he kind of goes a little off rails, but again, he's doing the work that needs to be done, because if we stay, not that on book is bad, but there are definitely things that we're missing when we stay perfectly on script. So I actually like that he pushes and will get his message heard, because that is what lobbying and politics is. It is, we have to make our voices be heard. So I would encourage everyone to do that. And then thanks for everyone who's still here. Well, we are going to be hopefully closing this meeting 30 minutes before we predicted, so this will be good for everybody else here. And then this is the end of the year, so the next time we see you will be in June. No, we have one more meeting this month, and then that'll be the end of school. Then we have our next meeting. So we'll see you one more time by the end of the year, but good luck. Again, we know this is a really busy time of year, so thank you for all that you do to support our students, and thanks for everybody who's watching. Yeah, and then, persons, so we moved to item 17, persons wishing to address the board on closed session items. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on an item that is addressed in closed session. The maximum time for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. Ms. Cover, do we have any speakers?
There are no speakers.
Thank you. We will close this, this item at 8:40. All right, we will take a 5-minute recess, but before we do, we're going to take a moment of silence for Annette Hanson-Krebs, retired teacher of Ben Franklin Intermediate School, and Nancy McGee, retired San Mateo County School Superintendent. All right, we will reconvene at 8:46 in the superintendent conference room.